oil spill off the shores of California. And they think what did it was one of these anchors of all these ships. Usually they have just a handful in the port to unload and get out of the way. But they've had to drop their anchors out, waiting days and even weeks because we don't have workers to unload these ships. And they think an anchor caused the oil spill, hit a pipeline underground. And guess what? There's also a lot of fiber optics running in the same place, underground, under the water, laying there. If an anchor drops on those fiber optics, boom, all of a sudden, Amazon, where you going to get your orders? Think about these fiber optics going from the United States to Japan and Asia, China, Vietnam, Thailand, Australia, New Zealand. All these places, they could have communications cut that might take months and months to get back. And it's all because of the incredible stupidity of the people running this economy now. And they can't get their act together. Just like you heard Newt Gingrich say, and Secretary Yellen, you are yelling about things that make no sense when you look at the disaster that's in the White House, and you are following the policy, and you're wanting to pump more money into this economy just because it's woke. Well, woke's going to be broke. That's what it looks like. Go ahead, Secretary Yellen.
Supply chains are very stressed. We get the pandemic under control. The global economy comes back. These pressures will mitigate, and I believe we'll go back to normal levels.
We're being advised now to shop now for the holidays because of these supply chain issues. What's your message to consumers?
Well, look, we have an economy that's recovering, so there may be isolated shortages of goods and services in the coming months, but there is an ample supply of goods, and I think there's no reason for consumers to panic about the absence of goods that they're going to want to acquire at Christmas.
The debt limit debate was kicked down the road for 2 months from now. Are you confident that Congress will avoid a catastrophe come December?
Well, I believe it's absolutely necessary for Congress to take action to raise or suspend the debt limit. The debt ceiling is not about future spending and what we would like to see or do. It's about paying the bills that result from decisions Congress has made in the past. A failure to raise it, to pay America's bills, would shake investor and consumer confidence in the willingness of our government to meet its obligations.
Could it lead to a recession?
Absolutely. 50 million seniors would risk not seeing their Social Security checks arrive on time. Our troops would have to worry about when or if they were going to be paid. This would result at a minimum in a downgrading of the credit rating of the United States. We would see an increase in interest rates on all forms of borrowing, on mortgages, on credit cards. Households would see their interest bills go up.
Shame on you, scaring our elderly, scaring those on Medicare, scaring our military, and because you want that debt ceiling to go up. Why don't you talk about the stupidity of adding $3.5 trillion to a $1.5 trillion infrastructure bill? You talk about needing a debt ceiling up. Maybe we don't need it up so high if you want to put in these idiotic socialist programs that are trying to tie America into something that they never get out of, a nosedive, a financial nosedive that we may never come back up for air. It may put us under. And Secretary Yellen, shame on you for not pointing that out. You know better. And you're threatening paychecks to our elderly, and all you're wanting is to cover the backside of the president's $5 trillion, which we know is going to be more than $5 trillion if it all passes. Shame on you. You have a better economic sense than that. Say, we've had enough spending. Let's start let's start paying down the debt. How about that, Secretary of Treasury Yellen? Well, let me turn to CBS. Again, no conservative network by any means. But let's play this clip from CBS about supply chains. It's going to run 3 or 4 minutes here, but it's important to know it is affecting America, where even these liberal networks, CNN's been covering it for the president, so many of the networks are, but you can't deny the American people are hurting because of this severe supply chain train wreck. And take a listen to this from CBS.
From Tonka trucks for Christmas, to furniture for the living room, to delays of all kinds of products from around the world, blame it on the supply chain. So what's going on here? Sounds like a question for David Pogue.
We start off in here. Come on in. We're going to need a case of lemons, so let's hope that they got lemons tomorrow.
Life's not giving lemons to Tony Pertessis, who owns and runs the Southport Diner in Connecticut. And not just lemons.
You order Heinz, it's not here. I order Gatorade. It took weeks to get Gatorade. The waitress will come out and say, I don't know where the whipped butter is. I'll call my distributor and say, what happened to the whipped butter? They'll say, oh, we're out of stock till next week.
And when he can get his hands on supplies, he pays a lot more for them.
Used to buy bacon for $2.40 a pound. It spiked up to $6. But how are we supposed to sell bacon when it's costing us so much money?
You've probably noticed something weird going on with the supply chain, too. Suddenly, you just can't buy the stuff you want. Book publishers are having trouble getting paper. Car companies can't buy computer chips. Builders are having trouble getting lumber. Container ships in port are waiting for days to be unloaded. And everybody's back to hoarding toilet paper. But here's what's strange about these shortages. There's actually a glut of goods entering the country. And chances are, whatever you're waiting for is somewhere in boxes like these.
One of these containers can hold 10,000 pairs of sneakers, 200 queen-size mattresses, 70 giant flat-screen TVs. So 95% of consumer goods come into the United States in these very containers.
Beth Rooney is the deputy director of the Port Department of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Those big container ships, how many of these are they carrying?
Anywhere between 9,000 and 16,000 of these boxes at a time.
And this pile is how many?
A couple hundred.
She's in a perfect position to explain the first part of the supply chain crisis.
As the pandemic hit various parts of the globe, factories overseas shut down. When production began to ramp up, we then saw a significant increase in cargo volume. We are all seeing about a 30% increase in our cargo activity year over year.
Even better, or worse, the holidays are coming.
Of course, we're also experiencing Christmas. So if the goods are not here in the port by mid-September, they're generally not on the shelves for Christmas.
So is Joe Biden going to play the role as the Grinch that stole Christmas? Looks very likely. It looks very likely. To think we are in the last half of October and these goods are stuck on cargo ships waiting to get unloaded. Do you think they're going to make it to the store shelves in time for Christmas? Not likely. Not in great numbers. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Folks, I've been telling you, and you know what I'm about to say. Socialism does not work. The American DNA will not let socialism in this country. Socialism doesn't work, and that's what we're getting, a dose of socialism from the far left Democrats. They're no longer Democrats, just call them the Socialist Party, like I've said before. Until the Democratic Party kicks out the socialists, let them form their own party. Let us know who they are. We know who they are. But as long as the Democrats keep them in the party, then the Democrat is the Socialist Party. And I'm not going to have it. The American people are not going to have it. You need to straighten up. Let Joe Manchin be your leader. I mean, at least he has some kind of backbone. And I thank him for standing up, and I hope he doesn't cave. Most people get bought off by now. So the bottom line is, until the Democratic Party separates themselves from the socialists, then how can you have any trust or value what the Democrats say? And the socialists, there's some of them who are bona fide, really believe in socialism, think it's going to work, said, I just want to be there to say, I'm the one that provides this. There's your problem. They want to say, I provided that, when they steal the money from taxpayers and let people say, I provided that. But the trouble with this, with socialism, we've said it before, there are those in the socialist movement and communist movement who know if America goes bad broke, if we nosedive down in debt that we can never recover, then there'll be a revolution, and they think they'll be in charge. That's the closest way they can ever make it happen. Make the people so miserable, they finally go into revolution and get rid of the Constitution of the United States of America. That's what a lot of these socialists want to do. And they're using people who really think there's good things out there, and they're really helping people. And in fact, what they're doing is destroying the greatest nation on earth. And we can not see a better example than looking at the supply chain train wreck right now with Joe Biden. He's caused it. The leftist policies have caused it. We got inflation spiking because we did away with our energy plan under Trump. We did away with our illegal immigration plan under Trump, which was working beautifully. And the Biden administration may eat crow and reinstate the Trump illegal immigration policy to remain in Mexico if you're going to apply for asylum. Now we're just letting everybody in by the hundreds of thousands, giving them a slip saying you may need to see us in court, knowing good and well they'll never see us in court. And I heard Newt Gingrich say it earlier on the show when we were playing that clip from the Laura Ingraham show. And he said that we got American citizens basically saying we're second-class citizens. There's no first-class citizens. It's just illegal immigration status. If you're an illegal immigrant, you don't have to get vaccinated. You don't have to show proof that you're vaccinated. You can go anywhere you want to. You fly. You've got ID. You don't have to show your ID to fly. We've seen that over and over. Wow. This is the America we're living in. The socialists are in control, and it's time to wake up and say we are going to stand up for America, American values, the U.S. Constitution. And it's time to do it, folks. It's time to do it. So get out there, and if nobody's running against a Democrat, you run. There should be no Democrat that doesn't have a hard battle, and they all need to be thrown out on their ears. And there's some rhinos I don't like, but right now we've got to get together because the socialists have taken over. They are in control of the American government, and everybody's hurting. And you got Putin, and you got China, President Xi of China, looking at Taiwan, licking his chops because he knows how weak Biden is. Putin knows how weak Biden is. Little Rocket Man in North Korea knows how weak Biden is. And can we stay out of a war? Weakness invites those who want to hurt America to actually act. So please, for our children's and our grandchildren's sake, stand up, Joe Biden. Turn your policies around. I mean, if you reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy for illegal immigration, then just look what Trump did and copy everything that Trump did. And get rid of these stupid socialist programs you're trying to pass through Congress. Just stop them. Just stop them. Just say no, Joe. Biden's supply chain train wreck. I'll say it again. Biden's supply chain train wreck. It's destroying America, and it's time to stand up and say enough is enough. God bless you. God bless America. See you next week.
Thanks for joining us today, and remember to listen again next week for another edition of Doc Holliday's Rock-Splitting Politics. You can order Ed's new book, Bedrock Truths, by clicking on the book cover right in front of you on the screen, or visit DocHolliday.org. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.